Have you ever noticed that you could be a safe space for everyone else, but do not feel safe within yourself? As women, as leaders, as nurturers, we try to take care of everyone else. We're nurturers, we're connectors, we're problem solvers. But sometimes the woman who's holding all of that together may be quietly overwhelmed. I am Dr. Lum Frundi. I'm a pediatrician, author of The Worry Garden. And I'm so excited about this conversation. And joining me today is Justy. She's an award-winning author. She's a composer, a singer, and I'm really looking forward to this because once we start healing as women, we start making the shifts in generation from now and even for generations to come, which is what I'm looking for. So I'm really excited to have you here with me. But before we get started, tell people more about you and what you do.
Thank you for that amazing introduction. So, as you said, I'm an award-winning author for My Five Seasons, which is a faith-based as well as a transformation journal series. I'm also an international gospel singer and composer. I do, scores for different TV shows, podcasts, as well as web series and movies. I also do a little bit of IT as well, so I got to have my hands in all different type of things. But mainly, just a motivational, positive speaker that want to help people with the tools that I have learned to guide them to where they need to be.
Today, I really invited you to talk about safe spaces,
Hmm.
right? And when this is really to create that safe space that would promote healing for women. And when we say safe space, what does that really mean to you?
So for me, I feel as though that safe space is anywhere that you can freely be your authentic self, meaning there's no judgment whatsoever. A lot of times people don't have that, the ability anywhere in their life to have that safe space. So when anytime a person can get it, it's very valuable. It's a gem in its own entity.
Yeah.
So any way that you could be your authentic self without judgment, without worry, without fear, any type of those negative emotions start to enter, that's when you know that's a safe space, when you don't have those negative emotions entering at the same time.
Right, right. And we see that everywhere you turn. I think in today's society, it's negative, right? You can't turn on the news without seeing or hearing anything negative. You can't even take care of your kid without someone judging you on how you're taking care of your kid. It's just, it's there. And it's like it's hitting you from so many directions where sometimes, like we say, you can be in that quiet place of overwhelm because you're trying to keep it together. You're trying
Exactly.
to be that best mother that you can be. You're trying to be that person who's good at what you do. Like you're
Exactly.
holding it together. So it's really hard, right?
Safe space is all about giving yourself, because sometimes people think that when you're in a safe space, you have to get permission when other people are around you. But in reality, it's really you have to give your own self permission to be human. That's literally what creating a safe space, without fear of punishment, but being human, but giving yourself permission. And a lot of times, especially as women, we don't give ourselves permission. We don't. We give everybody else permission.
Yep.
I mean, everybody we give permission to do what they want, but ourselves, we always forget us. And that has been for decades, for centuries, as being women, because that's how we were taught from our mothers, our grandmothers, our ancestors, is that we give everybody else permission, but we don't give ourselves permission. It's like we don't give ourselves grace.
Yeah. Why do you think that is? Why is it so hard for women?
Personally, I really believe it really goes back to slavery. And I really believe it goes back to slavery, and then even going further back, a biblical theory of the women in the Bible. They always, like Ruth, Esther, they were women in the Bible that did everything for everybody, but never gave themselves that permission to be themselves. Ruth, in the book of Ruth, and I'm paraphrasing here, so just bear with me. But one thing about Ruth is that her mother-in-law, she took care of her. She did everything she did, but forgot about her and forgot about herself. And the thing about it is that that's been happening forever. We take care of everybody. That's been our MO. Now the question is, will it ever stop? That's the question.
Yeah. Will it ever stop? I don't know. But we can but we can start making the changes, right? Which is why I'm hoping this conversation with that it's okay to be true to who you are. It's okay not to be perfect. It's okay
Exactly.
not to have all the answers. It's okay to be you. And reasons being that we are different in every season, right? You can't hold it together in every season. There may be a season where everything is falling apart, and it's okay just to step back and take a break and recuperate and take care of yourself. That way you can pick it up for the next season. So I'm hoping that this will come out like it is okay to be your true authentic self,
Yeah.
understanding that every season is different and requires something different from you.
I agree with you. I agree
Yeah.
100%.
And one thing I would say that I see in clinic is that kids will carry the emotional heartbeat of the family, right? Where
Hmm.
you see where if a parent, sometimes I'll walk into a room where a parent is like, oh, my kid is anxious, there's this going on, and I'm listening and I'm paying attention to the mom, and I can feel the anxiety. I can feel that anxiety building too, where if we don't start regulating it for ourselves, we're
Hmm.
setting the tone for the next generation because they feel like that's the normal. There's that anxiety that builds up and it carries on from parent to child to child
Hmm.
to child. So how can we then now stopping it with our generation to help like bring and calm it down like it is okay not to have the all the answers, right?
It definitely starts with the parent. It starts with the parent understanding thyself, understanding herself on how to give that emotional support system to their child. When like you said, the parent, the mother can feel what the child and gives them that anxiety and whatnot. There has to be a break in between the emotional connection to where the parent has to know how to regulate emotions.
Yes.
That's the key. Regulate the emotions. Because when you learn how to regulate the emotions, it's a beautiful thing when that emotional connection and support starts to really trickle down to the children in a positive way and not a negative way. And then we won't have all these kids with anxiety and anxiousness and all these emotional things. They'll be able to learn different tools to actually guide them to know how to control their emotions on so many different levels. And like you mentioned, there's different seasons. I may be anxious in the winter season, but I might be sad in the summer. I have to learn how to control the emotions because guess what? Those same emotions is going to dictate off of me into my child. And again, that's a spiritual connection. That's an emotional connection that is a bond between a mother and a child.
Why do you think that's difficult for parents to?
So as a newly step parent myself, I have to say that the difficulty is knowing that somebody that you love is hurting. That is the difficulty. And one thing besides a parent, a mother with her husband, but it's a different type of love when it's somebody that you actually bared and you feel that emotional connection. It goes back to when I work in the medical field as well. And when I was a teenager, I used to volunteer in L&D all the time. And I used to, at 15 years old, I used to notice the mothers with their baby and they put it to their chest.
Yes.
And I never understood. I was like, why are they so close to the child? Like, it was just born. Like, why, give it some air to breathe. So then when a nurse told me, she said, no, we try to get them to connect emotionally and physically first before verbally with
Yes.
their child because there is a connection, emotional connection that a mother and their child, starts to bond before verbally. And I was like, wow. So now it goes back to what we were saying is that it started with that first connection, and that first connection was an emotional feeling. How
It is.
happy that parent was. The first that's the first communication, and that right there starts the journey of how that relationship is going to be.
Yeah, yeah. And that protective, like I want to protect you from all maybe my past experience.
Yeah,
I want to cover you. I want to put you in this isolation box, but we know that that is not real life, right?
right. It's not real life at all.
How do you help mothers? How do you help women who are in this stage? Maybe a mother who maybe is in that place where they're overwhelmed. They want to create that connection, but they've never really experienced it for themselves. So, like you said, it stages back from our parents, from generations coming, right? Where it's like you have to be this strong woman, you have to be the person holding it together. How do you help a parent go back to that true authentic self? Because like we talked about, safety is not like physical safety, it's that emotional safety and is that connection.
One of the tools besides my journals, my journals are, I have to say, they have been God sent to myself. I'm gonna for myself. I have heard many positive feedbacks on the journals from different women as well as men, on my journals. But I'm gonna say, I'm gonna talk about me first. The journals help me guide to break a lot of barriers down, because as I mentioned earlier about grace, a lot of times I don't give myself enough grace. One of my sayings has been lately, because again, we go through so many different seasons that we forget what the previous season taught us, right? So one of my sayings now is your season, your story.
Mm.
And so with mothers, because now I'm gonna switch it to the mothers. With mothers, knowing the questions and actually answering the questions authentically with no judgment, not from others but from themselves, will start to break that barrier so they can heal properly. And that's one thing why I promote my 5 seasons so much, because I know the healing process among the journals and all the seasons. I even without even the journals, I tell people all the time, when people say, D, how can I stop my trauma? I give them a question. I said, where did your trauma come from? Where did it come from? It's simple. I know it's so simple, but it's so powerful when you have these simple questions, and then you have to really think and say, where did it really come from? And then you start unpacking that actually it came from this marriage, or it came from this childhood, or it came from me worrying about my child one day and they scared me to death. It could be so many things, but you have to be honest with yourself. And like I tell some of my clients, you're the only one that have the answer. I don't, because it's your season and it's your story.
Amazing. I like that. Your season, your story, because oftentimes we want to look for someone else on the outside to give you the answers, to tell you how to do it. But if
Exactly.
you're getting that from the outside, I don't know your story. I don't know what you're dealing with, so I can't really give you the answers, because until you become aware and know where that trauma is coming from, then from that place of awareness, you can start making the changes that you need to do.
No, you're absolutely right. And that has been my model, for a while, to the point where I, uh, I officially made shirts of it. 'Cause I love the saying so much. I walk around now, it's like your season, your story. And actually, this is one of the shirts right here.
I love
Yeah,
it. Your season, your
your
story. I
story.
love it.
Yeah, because I mean, it's the truth. I don't know if I mentioned, but I am a certified journal therapy coach. So one thing that I know what I do differently than a lot of different coaches, because there's a lot of brilliant coaches out there that they have different tools for other people. But one thing about the way that I help people is that I take it back to you and your season and your story, because again, I don't live with you. I
Right.
just met you. Literally, I don't live with you. I just met you. So I can't sit here and I can tell you what books say, and people have done different statistics of, theories on millions of people, but every individual is different.
Yeah.
Because what you go through in this season in your story is not the same as Jane. Even though y'all may have been born in the same town, went to the same school, had great parents, your story, your season is different than hers.
Yes.
So many different variables.
Absolutely. I love that too. And just to add to what you say, and that's probably why you have to look within as opposed to looking at someone else. This person's child is doing this. That's working for that person. And then you bring that in and try it for your kid and it backfires. And I've talked to a lot of parents, a lot of women who are like, I have tried everything that was documented in the book, but it doesn't work. I've actually had someone like, these coping skills don't work. Yes, they actually do. But if you're not starting from within, you're starting from outside, then you don't even believe what you're doing. You're like, I'm just going to try that for a checkbox. Okay, I tried this, it didn't work. Check.
And it's
I
so
tried
funny
it.
that you said that because a lot of people, I mean, you just hit it so far on the nail because when people start doing coping skills and coping guides and tools, those things are for when you already dealt with yourself.
Yes.
You already dealt with yourself. Those come into saying, okay, I understand where my trauma is. I understand where what happened in that season, whatever season I was in. Okay, now that I acknowledged it, now it's time for me to put some work in it, and then it's time for me to get a better skill on how to, manage it. Because coping skills, tools, guides, all those are management. Those are maintaining. Those are not fixer-uppers. And that's the difference that a lot of people don't know is these books are great. They are 100% great, but for maintenance only.
Right, right. And then just to bring back with the seasons that you talked about, because a lot of times, if you don't reflect back on what the lessons you learned from the previous seasons, you will continue on in that same trauma season after season. And coming into that habit of reflecting, not even going through a whole season, reflecting on like what lessons did I learn today? What did I learn about myself today? Because that's the data that helps you bring awareness to what the struggles are, and then you can
Mhm.
figure out how, because I can't fix the problem if I don't know what it is.
No, and you're absolutely right. The problem again is always going to be within. Whatever you have not dealt with, that's the problem. And once you fix what you have right now, then you'll be able to be better off in the future. And that's one thing that I try to teach my clients is we're going to start with what brought you here. Why
Right.
did you choose me?
Yeah.
What in your life or what season that brought you here? Because again, you came to me in the winter, but then you may not come to me for another 3 seasons until the fall. So there's something triggering in these certain seasons that we need to dissect to figure out why that you only coming to me when it's winter time and when it's fall time. But I don't see you again in spring and summer. So that's one of the things I try to do, and I try to help people and guide them to understand their why.
Yeah. Amazing. Now, I'm gonna bring you, we talked about you do journaling, you help
Hmm.
your clients with journaling.
Yes.
I, not too many people that I've talked to are really, it doesn't come naturally. How do you help them start that process? Because a lot of people say, well, I just hold my pen, I'm sitting there, I don't know what to write. Like, how do you help them start that process?
Well, one thing, and I love this question because a lot of people don't know the difference between having a diary, and actually journaling. Now, mind you, I'm going put this disclaimer out. So there is methods in journaling that has the same functionality as diary. Having a diary, and that is called free writing, and because that's what a diary is. You're just free writing. You're writing your thoughts down. Whatever happened today. You're just getting all your stuff out. And I feel as though that people see like young teenagers, 12. This is perfect for them to start getting their emotions out. Having a diary and writing. I totally 100% am approve of that. But then when you start getting into that 18 and up, then it's starting to let's get you a journal, a guided journal that has quotes and prompts to help you understand what's happening in this season. So the first thing I do, depending on what the client is coming in, one of the things I can go from, I try to find out what they like. So if I have a musically inclined person, I'll go to different tools that help them journal with musically things. So for instance, like I have like my winter season, and I would tell them, especially if they're a musically inclined person, I'll tell them to go to certain pages. So in music, there is, quarter notes, half notes, eighth notes. So I will reference in the book. I want you to go to page 4. Let's start with the first 4 beats. And that's all you do. You do your music, you listen to your song, your favorite song, and we start with the first 4. Or if I have more of an artist, of a painter, then I will have them take the quotes that's in the book, and I'll have them draw a picture of what it made you feel like. because again, it is part of journaling, but it's a different, tool, guided way to help people. Um, I mean, it's been an amazing journey, and like I tell my clients, I am not. I'm also going through these seasons with you because guess what? As humans, we go through seasons all the time. It
Yes.
doesn't change because I finished the 5 books. Because
Right.
I guarantee if I go back again to the next 5 books, everything that I wrote in the first set is going to be different because I'm in a new season.
Yeah.
I'm in a whole new season a year later or 2 years later. But one thing I tell any of my clients is that I don't read this. So if you're lying to yourself. You ain't lying to me. I don't judge you. If you sit here and say such 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 knowing this is not the truth, you're just lying to yourself. And one thing about my journals, one thing a client said to me not too long ago, a couple months ago actually, she said, D, she said, I was in the winter season and it was a question on page 8. And she said, I wrote such, 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 such. But then she said, you came back in page 20 with the same question but a different way. And I pretty much lied to myself. I said, oh, really? Again, I don't know what you're writing. Don't lie to yourself. You're the only one that see these books. You're the only one. So
Yeah.
I try to hold people accountable. These journals hold people accountable.
Yeah. And I like that you brought that. It's not a one-time thing, right? And you can go through the same journal in different seasons and it's different because you're not the same person.
Exactly.
And that's your experiences has shaped something else. So your mindset is different. So you're pretty much a new person, fresh new eyes, where even if you were to answer the same questions 3 months later, it will be different. Because you're a different person, different season, different set of challenges, different way of looking at stuff. So yeah, yeah, amazing. So what other thing, like for a woman listening who's just like, I am overwhelmed. I don't know where to start. I
Mhm.
hear you, but what's that one thing I can do today?
So the one thing I would definitely tell them is to get a piece of paper, a blank piece of paper. It doesn't have to be fancy. And the first thing I would tell them is, what's the first question that comes to mind? Because whatever that question is, the question could be as so simple and minute. It could be, what's for dinner? Wow, just as simple as that. And when you really think about the question, now you have to think. You have to say, what am I feeling? What am I feeling to eat right now? What is my emotions actually telling me? What is my body telling me that I'm craving? Because one thing about journaling and answering questions is that you got to listen to your internal self. Your body is going to tell you exactly what to do. Like I said, I work in the healthcare for an organization, and one thing I have learned being in healthcare for over a decade is that you're your own doctor. You're your own doctor. If my body say I am deficient in iron because I'm always cold, because the first question you're going to say is, why am I so cold? You got a couple things that you can say. Well, what have I been eating that has been giving me iron and magnesium? What have I not been eating lately? Have I been just only on chips and dip all day or the next, last few weeks? So now the answer is I have not been eating right. I have not been getting my iron that I need to make my body regulated for room temperature. These questions are so simple, but they're very effective. And that's one of my models, is that I keep everything simple, but it's very effective. And so that would be the first thing I would say is that, right, what's your question? I do have a 5-day one-on-one that I do for a lot of my clients are 5-day one-on-one people where they say I have this problem and we'll take it 5 days and we'll go through it to help them solve that one issue. And then I tell them, if you want to continue with me, we can go out 2 weeks, 30 days, whatever. But a lot of time it's 5 days because a lot of time our problems are so simple that you only need 5 days to heal.
Right. To
You
kind of
just
get you
need,
started,
yeah,
right?
yeah. It's just you just need 5 days, because I'm not trying to unpack your whole life. I'm in the season where you're at right now and what's making you feel this way.
So awesome. I love it. And keeping it simple because there's a lot of information, complexity. Sometimes when you try to make things so complex, it creates even overwhelm or trying to get away from it. It's like, okay, this is too much information. Just give me like one thing to start. I like even the question, the sample question you just asked, like, what's for dinner? That triggers anxiety for a family. Like if you have to create,
Exactly.
like, I'm like, oh my goodness. I mean, what do you mean meal planning? This one doesn't like this one. That one doesn't like that one. I am craving one thing, but I know my husband is not going to like it. And that alone, that simple question can create anxiety where it's just like when you're going through your day, that may be that simple question that may be overwhelming for you. Like, what is it about that dinner? What's for dinner?
Yeah, exactly. And you said it right. That one simple question brings so much anxiety because especially if you're a household of five and everybody likes this. Johnny likes pizza. Sarah likes pasta. The dad likes Chinese food. So now you got all these people, and again goes back to that woman. So now if she forgets all about what she likes and
Yes.
she worries about everybody else. You get what I'm saying? So now is I'm trying to make sure everybody's happy. But what happened to your happiness? What do you like?
Yeah, yeah. And it took me a while to figure it out for me, for myself, right? Because it was just like, what do you want? What do you want? And then at the end of the day, I'm eating leftovers, right? Because I don't even want to sit there and think about what I'm craving right now. I'm like, take care of everybody, I'll eat your leftovers.
And again, going back to how we started this conversation, the woman
Right.
worry about everybody else
Yeah.
and instead of what she wants.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And it brings it back to the family where if you start paying attention to yourself, it is not selfish. It is not that you don't love your family. It is actually healing for your family. Because when you bring that overwhelm to the dinner table, by the time you're serving food, you're angry with everybody on that table. Right? It's like the kid might just say, but I just want salt. What do you mean you want salt? And you find yourself reacting, right? But
Exactly.
then you're reacting and then you're blaming everybody. Nobody appreciates me. I
And,
do all these things for
and
you
then
all.
go through
And
that
then there's
emotional
that
roller coaster.
emotional
Yeah.
roller coaster because the kid just asks like, I just want only a little bit. And then it's just like everything. And then we're in that reactive phase. And we transfer that over our kids where they don't know how to handle things. They were all reactive, reactive, reactive. So I'm really excited about this because hopefully I want to get out there. It's like, take care of yourself. Taking care of yourself is not selfish. But if you don't take care of yourself, then we're transferring this generational overwhelm, this generational so because a lot of times we say trauma and stuff and we think it's something big. But every day we're experiencing trauma one way or the other. Where if I'm in a household where I can't talk to my mom because she's so overwhelmed, like every question she's reacting to, I hide, right? Nothing is safe. That connection that you say from birth, we're having that connection, that heartbeat. But if that heartbeat is always on the rise, it's just like we're always in that chronic heart rate high, high, high,
Exactly.
high. We're high vigilance all the time, where it's like there's a tiger at all times. I cannot feel safe.
Mm.
But it's just having that, taking care of yourself to create that safety for your kids that promotes healing, not only for yourself, but for your family.
And one thing you said that the kids only want salt. You see how simple that was? They know exactly what they wanted. I just want salt. That narrows it down because guess what? Everything we eat has salt. If we can learn to keep things as simple as that, the anxiety, those emotional roller coasters will be very less. I'm not saying they will go away, but they will be very, very less in your life and you'll be able to think clearly. And women, we have to think clearly because guess what? We are the beacon. We are the stomach of the family. We are the stomach. That means we are the gut. If we crumble, the whole house comes down. It comes down, and it's
Yeah.
like, who's gonna build it back up? If the builder and the stomach is already down, who else is gonna build it back up? So we have to keep everything simple.
Yes, I love it. I love it. Thank you. Thank you for joining me today. Is there
Oh, thank you
anything
for
else you
having me.
want to share? And I know you talked about your one-on-one. If someone is listening and wants to reach out to you, is there like where they
Yes.
can go to?
If anybody would like to do a one-on-one, pretty much you can go to my website at www.everythingjustd.com, or you can hit me up on Instagram at I am just D, and or you can email me at everythingjustd@gmail.com, and I will be happy to assist in any way I can, because at the end of the day, my goal is to help each and every last person understand how to simplify their life in the best way possible so that they do not get overwhelmed.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you again for joining me.
Thank you.